Yeah. So EJB, Enterprise Java Beans. What is a bean? I told you already. Something which is reusable is called as a bean. Already we discussed that any Java class which contains default constructor is 100% reusable, right? A class which is reusable is a Java class which is reusable is called as Java bean, right? So if a class has default constructor, anyone can create an object by using reflection, right? So that is 100% reusable. But if a class does not have a default constructor, we should know what parameters to pass for that constructor. Then only I will be able to create an object, right? So a class without a default constructor cannot be called as a pure Java bean, right? But nowadays the term Java bean is being used very loosely. We are calling every class as a Java bean, right? Now coming to enterprise Java bean. Why do we call it as enterprise Java bean? Enterprise Java bean is not a single class, it is a component. EJB is a component, not a single class. What do I mean by a component? Component means a combination of some classes and some configuration files is a component, right? Component is a combination of some individual classes which can achieve some functionality. Like if I say SIM card is a component, right? SIM card is providing some functionality, but internally inside a SIM card there are a lot of small chips, right? All those chips are again reusable, but combining of all those chips, they are making a SIM card which can be providing as a functionality. The same SIM card I can insert in Nokia mobile or Samsung mobile or any other mobile, right? So again, talking about a component means it's not a single class, it's a combination of some classes and some XML files, etc., which will provide as a functionality, right? And this component should be reusable. Okay, now once I said component is reusable, what care do I need to take if I want my component to be reusable? Tell me. They are preparing a SIM card. SIM card can be kept in Nokia mobile as well as Samsung or any other mobile, Sony mobile, anything. Means I can say that SIM card component is reusable. I can plug it in any of the mobile, right? What care should be taken? So whenever I am preparing a component, size, yes, size should be same on for all the SIM cards. Then it can be put inside everything. Okay, size is one thing. Then when I am making my component, if I don't keep any particular thing in my mind, like I should not keep in mind that I will be deploying this only on my WebLogic server. My component which I am developing should be generic, so generic that it can work on any WebLogic or WebSphere or anywhere, right? I should not keep into mind when I am developing my component, I should not keep into mind who will be using it. Okay, yeah, one is server dependent, that is a different thing. One point is server dependent. I should not keep in mind that I will be deploying it only in WebLogic or JBoss or anything, right? When I am developing my component. After I develop my component, it is again different. I can do some customization, right? When I am developing, as a developer, if I am developing my component, I should not keep any particular environment in mind, right? Suppose if I am developing a credit card module, I am developing some code, some component for credit card. What my component should provide facilities? My credit card component should provide a facility of validating a credit card. First of all, if somebody enters a credit card number, it should say whether this credit card number is valid or not, right? And also, I want my credit card module to provide another facility. I want my credit card module to debit the amount from that credit card, right? So let's assume that I am developing my credit card module, and let's assume that in that credit card module there are a lot of functionalities, right? When I am developing my credit card module, I should not be worried who will be accessing it, whether ICICI Bank will be accessing it or whether Citibank will be accessing it or HDFC Bank, whatever bank, I should be able to sell my component to any of the bank, right? Then I can say that my component can be reusable. After I sell it to ICICI, they may customize my component. After I sell it to Citibank, they can customize my component, but without changing my code, right? So when I am writing my code, if I don't keep in mind who will be using it and how it will be used, if I just concentrate on my business logic, what is my work? Charging the credit card, validating the credit card. The method is there. If some input is given to this method, what should I return? That only should be there in my mind, right? Rest all the environment details. Who will be accessing it? Whether managers only will be accessing this method, or some other roles also can access this method. I should not worry about all this when I am developing my component. And also I should not worry whether local client will be accessing this method in my component, or remote client will be accessing, right? So if I don't have anything in my mind, what I can do is I can create a component which is 100% reusable, right? Let me tell you the common requirements. Now I write a Java class. Only a single Java class can give me some functionality. Is it possible? I want some credit card component. Only one class can do that. Then what we will be doing? We will be using some helper classes to achieve the functionality, right? So when I am developing my EJB module, I will be developing a lot of classes, right? When I am developing the methods, I should not worry whether these methods will be called by a local client or a remote client. Without that in mind, I should write my code. So how to write it? You understood in the morning that if I want my method to be accessible remotely, we need to follow some lot of rules. We need first to make an interface, make my class to implement that remote interface. My class should extend unicast remote object, right? That will become accessible remotely if I follow all these steps. But without keeping that in mind, I should develop my component. That is one requirement, right? And the other requirement is, the common requirement is security. I have a lot of methods. Some 10 methods I am having in my component which will provide some functionality. I want to restrict that all methods should not be accessible by everyone. Maybe only some methods are accessible only by managers. Some methods should be accessible only by HRs, right? Based on the roles. I wanted to provide security to my component, but when developing my component, I should not write any security related code inside my component. Then my component will be reusable, right? So when writing my component, I should concentrate on my core business logic. I should not think about anything else. Who will be accessing it, whether remote client or local client or security, anything I should not keep in mind, right? But once I write my component, but still I want the facility. I want my component to be remotely accessible. I want my component to be secure. Who should be providing? Somebody else should be providing all these facilities, right? So that is nothing but EJB container. So what Java community did was, they released a specification called EJB specification, and the vendors should follow that specification and develop a EJB container, just like servlet container or JSP container. Vendors will be developing a EJB container. Now when I am writing my bean, I will not think about anything. I will concentrate on my core business project. This bean, which is 100% reusable, once I deploy that bean inside my container, before just deploying, I change some XML configuration, not my code. I change some XML configuration. My container, according to my XML configuration, my container should provide me all those services, like whether it is remoting. If some remote client wants to access my code, it should be made available. Or security, or transactions, or pooling. Everything should be provided by EJB container, right? So if we follow such a contract, EJB contains providing me all the facilities, my bean is doing whatever it requires, right? So as a developer, I can concentrate only on my core business logic. The common requirements. See, remoting is a very common requirement. Once I have a class, to make it accessible remotely, it is a very common requirement. So all the common requirements or system-wide requirements, I will not keep in mind when developing my bean. So then only it will become 100% reusable, right? Bean is a component which is 100% reusable, and the bean is reusable at enterprise level, right? So that's why it's called as EJB, Enterprise Java. Any doubts? Just introduction. What I just introduced you. What is EJB? EJB is a specification. Specification again contains two parts: specification for vendors, specification for developers. Vendors will follow the specification and develop EJB containers. Developers also will follow the same specification, develop the beans. What is the advantage I am getting? If I follow the rules given by EJB specification, container will be providing all the facilities. Let me take a simple example. I am coming to HP Privilege and I am delivering a training here. What is my business? Just to deliver the training. Suppose if I am delivering the same training on my own, suppose if I conduct a workshop outside, what should I do? I should take care of everything. I should take care of whether the projector is working or not, whether all computers are working or not, whether required softwares are working or not, right? So if I am conducting the same workshop outside on my own, I need to take care of lot of other details which will affect my actual work. My actual work is to deliver training, that's all. Instead of concentrating on delivering training, I should concentrate, oh, is everything working on the system, or is everything fine, etc., right? So it will be good if I can concentrate on my core business logic. So for me, HP is a container. They are providing me services. All the services are ready made, right? So that's about it. Now let us try to understand another requirement. I told EJB container will provide remoting. What do I mean by remoting? If I just give a normal bean, it will export my bean as a remote object. My normal bean can be exported as a remote object. That is one thing. And the next thing is, where do I write business logic? There are three layers as I told yesterday: presentation layer, service layer, data access layer. So in my service class I will be writing business logic, right? So whenever a request comes, suppose take a web application only. Whenever a request comes, the servlet has to create an object of service and then call a method on the service, right? Well, there are 1 lakh requests coming concurrently. My application is so big, there are 1 lakh requests that are coming concurrently. So how many objects of services will be created? Whenever a new request comes, what is my servlet doing? A new instance of it is created, right? So 1 lakh objects of my service will be created. Is it good? No. Sometimes creation of service may be costly. We take some lot of CPU resources, memory, everything, right? Or will it be good if I can create only, if I can write a code that only one service class is created? Instead of making 1 lakh service classes, if I can write a code so that I can manage only one singleton, you know singleton, right? A class which contains only one instance is called a singleton class. If I make all my service classes singletons, is it also good? No, 1 lakh threads will be sharing same instance, which is also not good in performance, right? So in middle, if I can have a pool of my service objects, right? So pool of my service objects is good. So once I have a business logic to be executed, when I am concentrating on my code, when I am writing my bean, I need not worry about scalability. Scalability talks about how many users are accessing it, right? There might be 100 users or 1 lakh users or 1 crore users. When developing my code, I should not worry about how many users will be accessing. Dynamically, my object should be scalable, right? Scalability is again one of the issues in our applications, right? How many objects to be created? So container is providing resource pooling. It will manage a pool of our EJBs, and it will decide when to create a new EJB, when to destroy a new EJB. Depending upon the load on the system, the container can decide whether to create a new instance or not. But when writing my bean, I need not worry about anything, right? Resource pooling is one thing mostly where we go for it, right? And also security I told. And one most important thing where why people are going for EJBs is transaction management. Before calling a method on my bean, a transaction may be started or maybe may not be started. So when writing my code, I should not worry where should I start a transaction and where should I end my transaction. That also should be declared dynamically, and the container should automatically start a transaction, commit or roll back accordingly. Okay, we'll talk in depth of transaction management later, but just remember container also is providing transaction management, pooling, etc. So to get the facility of all the services provided by container, we use EJB. But now EJB is specification. Specification is there for developers also. So when writing my EJBs, I need to follow some rules. If I follow some rules, then only my EJB can be executed by a EJB container, right? So now what I'll do is I'll just try to simply write one EJB, okay, and then try to deploy it. Then we'll see various aspects of EJB. Okay, the latest version of EJB is EJB 3.x, and previous version was 2.x. There are a lot of changes between 2.x and 3.x. One thing is we can directly go to 3.x and start understanding the concepts of 3.x. But if I can do a single example on 2.x, then we can discuss about advantages and disadvantages of 3.x and 2.x, right? So what we'll do is we'll start up with writing a simple enterprise Java bean of 2.x version, only one bean. Then that will be sufficient for me to explain the disadvantages. Right? Okay, I hope all of you have installed. Okay, you can just see now. Your laptop is on? Oh, it is on a system. Okay. To work with WebLogic, can I know who all are working with WebLogic already? Oh, many of you are no. Okay. So just I will show you how to start WebLogic and how to deploy and various folder structures inside WebLogic. Okay. You might have installed Oracle on one of your folder. I have installed my WebLogic here. You might be having this folder, middleware, right? Right? Once if we have to start working with WebLogic, what we are doing is we have to configure a domain. We need to configure a domain. First, before explaining all this, let me configure a domain. Go to program files, go to Oracle, WebLogic, WebLogic server 11G, tools, configuration wizard. First thing what I will do is we need to configure a domain in WebLogic. That domain configuration can be done by using configuration wizard in tools. Go to WebLogic, WebLogic server, tools, configuration. Click on this configuration wizard. We'll just simply configure a domain, then we'll start working on the domain. Yeah, it's asking create a new WebLogic domain. Next. Inside this credit card bin, what I should do is I should write implementations for all the methods which are declared here. This credit card, public boolean valid credit card, I should declare the implementation. Okay, just return something here as of now. We are not actually going to write a serious logic here. I'll just write system.out.println validating plus card number, and also I should write implementation for charge credit card here. Also I should write system.out.println charging plus amount plus from plus card number. So I made implementations. Remember that my bean is not implementing credit card interface. My bean is implementing session bean only. Even though my bean is not implementing credit card interface, I have to give body for all the methods present inside that interface. Okay? Remember that credit card bin is not implementing credit card. There is a reason why it is not implementing. I'll tell you the reason why it is not implementing, but still we have to write methods. One more method. For all the methods in business interface, I wrote the implementations there inside the actual bin, right? And there is a method inside home interface also, right? Create. For this create method, I have to write a method here called public void ejb create. For create method in my home, I have to write a method called ejb create, right? And here I should write the initialization code. This is the initialization method. This is a place where I should write initialization code for my ejb. This method is corresponding to which method? Create method. And corresponding to create method, I wrote a method called ejb create. And corresponding to each method here in this interface, I wrote the implementation for those methods. Right? That's all. My implementation is done. Now we need to tell about my bean to container. I have to declare inside a XML file called ejb jar.xml here. Inside src directory, you have a meta-inf. Inside meta-inf, you have ejb jar.xml, where ejb jar.xml is nothing but deployment descriptor for your ejb. Web.xml is a deployment descriptor for web applications. ejb jar.xml is a deployment descriptor for ejbs. So you should configure your ejbs here. See, enterprise beans. Inside enterprise beans, you have to declare. Inside enterprise beans, now we are writing a session bean. So session. Inside session bean, ejb name, we have to give a ejb name here. ejb name, I will give it as a credit card. ejb class, I will give it as com dot hp dot credit card bean. But I doubt whether this is the order or not. I am keeping my cursor here. See what is the order it is saying? Session type is expected. Session type, it is stateless session bean. And also transaction type, container. I'll say, I'll tell the meaning of what is this transaction type later. And also I should tell what is the home interface. Home interface name is com.hp dot credit card home. It's giving some error. Guess I should write here home and then here remote com.hp dot credit card. This is the remote interface. Right? And here I am writing assembly descriptor. Okay, I'll talk about this assembly descriptor later. Let me deploy this bean. So simply what you can do is right click on it, stop your server first, right click on it, run on server, finish. The server will start and you should see that the bean is deployed. Started. Now I'll refresh. Yeah, first EJB. You can see that in the deployments tab you can see first EJB is deployed, right? Okay, we'll talk what is happening once I deploy and all the internals after the break. We'll take a break. I wrote these three methods. Okay, let's take a break and then we'll be back at 45. Not India, not this one, RSL, somewhere RSL. It's the older version. You get the part. You get the part. Okay, then we give, I think, see, both are yeah, now this is some configuration like maybe mixing. Okay, then you try the last one. Next, point sorry, home back. You see? Yeah, 1 minute. I'm coming. just this record only that.
The Oracle I know since you have explained. Those things it is recorded, I think.
Yeah.
So just can you put in this agenda? We'll connect
Sure,
it
sure.
tomorrow.
Okay.
We'll join the tomorrow's training. We are
No. Anyway, tomorrow you can give.
Okay.
Right.
Fine.
This will be
Okay.
last. Okay.
11G.
I share it on that machine. Now you can copy from that machine. It's not getting deployed. You are getting error. You are not able to see the deployments. XML file might be wrong. 1 minute, I'll come. 1 minute. Yeah, you start.